Hey everyone, my name is the Theme Park Evangelist. I am back in Northern Kentucky. I just got back into Northern Kentucky literally Tuesday night. If you guys watched my landing at Cincinnati, Northern Kentucky International Airport during inclement weather, then you'll obviously know that I got back in town from Central Florida. Well, as you can clearly see, I am in bed, but I still wanted to do at least one vlog before the end of the night, before I call it quits for the day. Even though I did get about 11 hours of sleep, give or take, last night, I do have to get up early in the morning, so my fiance and I are currently sharing one car. If you watched my SeaWorld Orlando vlog back on Monday, March 4th, I basically mentioned very briefly that my car basically crapped the bed, and then I mentioned it again at Disney Springs on Tuesday, March 5th. So, just so you guys know what the dealio is. For those of you who are new to my YouTube channel, because I get new people all the time that just click on my videos, I don't get a lot of subscribers, sadly, because I have a religious YouTube channel name, but that doesn't mean I necessarily always talk about religious content. The reason why I have a religious name is because, yes, I do like to talk about theme parks, but yes, I also like to talk about my faith, and I don't plan on ever changing my YouTube channel name, and that's okay. It is what it is. I love what I do, and I don't expect my true friends to want me to change who I am just to gain more subscribers, if that makes any sense. So, anyhow, the reason why I'm doing this vlog tonight is because I just went to Central Florida for exactly 1 week, and I wanted to talk about it a little bit more in detail. So, obviously, I don't show every single thing that happens while I'm on my vacation, but I wanted to primarily talk about the vlogs one day at a time. So, to start with, let's start with Tuesday, February 27th. So, after a lot of work, I did finally make it down to Florida. I had a layover in Chicago. Now, granted, you only saw a small portion of Midway International Airport, but in the time that I was at Midway International Airport, I had sat around charging my phone, trying to recover from air sickness because my flight from Cincinnati to Midway was awful. It was so bumpy. I hadn't been on a plane in 2 years. On top of that, there was turbulence. It was just not a pleasant flight whatsoever. And they still managed to feed us snacks and give us drinks. It was very interesting how that happened, but you never know. Even though they were saying, oh, it's probably not going to happen. And I ended up being stuck there for about 2.5 hours. And of course, at the time, I had no money whatsoever to my name. As it was, for the first time ever on an airplane, I literally just used iMessage the entire time. Not just that flight, but the flight down to Orlando. So iMessage is something that Southwest Airlines offers for free to its passengers, and WhatsApp for that matter. And I literally brought my AirPods and my headphones with me, and I just plugged my AirPods into my ears, and I just listened to music, and I just texted a couple of people like Katie the entire time. And personally, in my opinion, that made all the difference in the world. So, I can't complain. That was all I really needed to keep me entertained while I was on my flight down to Orlando, and even to Chicago for that matter. So I also mentioned on my very first day while I was in Chicago that I was very interested in a fast food place called Big Chicken City, and it smelled so good, but of course I just didn't have the money to buy the food. I was like, really? I was like, when you really want something, and even though it looks absolutely incredible, and it smells just as good, but you know you can't afford it, it's discouraging. It really is. But you know what? You got to do what you got to do. And I had mentioned back between January and February, I was going to do my best to um, go on this trip as low budget as possible. So there's two reasons why I didn't really get a chance to talk about how much I was going to be spending and showing all the receipts, blah, blah, blah. So, reason number one, this was my biggest reason. I didn't get my Kentucky refund. I still haven't got my Kentucky refund. It is now Thursday, March 7th. It's almost Friday, March 8th. I still have not gotten my Kentucky refund. And I'm even out of work until Monday. And I'm just like, what am I going to do for money? I'm in the hole again. Not even joking. And I'm very stressed out. And, as it is, for those of you who are just now clicking on my video, my car is broken. It's just like, what else is going to go down? So it's been a very discouraging time right now. But you know what? God puts everybody through trials and tribulations for a reason. And I feel like God is doing that right now for me. And I think God just wants to see how much I trust Him, even when things are going down. And I know the winter into the early spring is usually a very discouraging time. And I know I had that happen last year, but you know what? God got me through, and He's going to do it again. Even though it doesn't always seem like God's there, I know at the end of the day He is. So, anyhow, so once I got to Orlando International Airport, I went down to my gate and I waited. About 5 minutes later, they said, "Oh, we're moving you down a gate," and I was like, "Really?" So I went down a gate. And of course, I had to book it because at the time I was under the impression that we're going to go to Manny's that night for dinner. And don't worry, I'm not going to go into too much personal information, especially for like my family, who hates when I go into personal and gives too much personal details away. So finally, after I got my suitcase, like good 15 minutes later, I went outside and TJ got a little impatient, drove around one time, but literally a couple minutes after I started vlogging, TJ pulled up, and that's when you guys basically saw everything. And you could tell by TJ's facial expression he was really happy to see me. So I got in the car, and we had this discussion about where we were going to go eat, and TJ was like, "Oh, I really want to go to Texas Roadhouse. I got, free coupons for free appetizers, I should say, something along those lines." And I basically said to TJ, "Okay, I'll make you a deal. I'll go with you to Texas Roadhouse tonight, assuming that you will take me to Manny's Original Chop House in Lake Wales another day while I'm here." And TJ said deal, and he actually did say true to it. So we drove over to Texas Roadhouse, and you guys saw a bit of it. So TJ and I split a full rack of ribs, and I accidentally got my baked potato loaded, which honestly I was not expecting that because of the fact that I had just told them I wanted sour cream and cheese, and somehow the information got misconstrued, and it just went from there. But TJ was like, "Oh, well, just more money you owe me." And then, as you guys saw in the vlog, I went all the way from Texas Roadhouse to TJ's place, and by that point it's after 12 o'clock in the morning. So, like, what happened between that time? So, once again, not going into detail or anything, so I stopped in Winter Haven. I saw the changes that were going on around Winter Haven, then finally dropped Kay off and at her best friend Dell's house, and hung around there for a little bit, FaceTime with Katie a little bit, prayed with her, and finally eventually made our way down to Indian Lake Estates. And by the time I finally got into TJ's room, got settled in, and got my suitcase and carry-on bag brought in, it was already after 12 o'clock in the morning. It was a late night. And then I didn't even get to sleep till 1 o'clock in the morning. So TJ originally came in my room, or his room really, about 6:30 in the morning or so the next morning. And I was like, you've got to be kidding me, because I was like, there's no way I'm going to get up after only 5.5 hours of sleep. So I try to ignore him. And right at 6:55 in the morning, my alarm went off and I started to wake up. And then TJ and I managed to get, I don't even remember what group it was for Cosmic Rewind. So we took our time getting ready, and I told TJ I really want to go to Wawa for breakfast. So TJ stopped at Wawa for me, and I got myself a breakfast sandwich and a large coffee. And then we went and picked up Kay, and then TJ and Kay went and got breakfast for themselves at McDonald's. And then we went up from there to Epcot. And of course, you saw the vlog begin right at the beginning of the park. You didn't really miss much other than everything that happened beforehand. So after the park was over and done with for the day, TJ and I did, and Kay for that matter, yes, we did go over to Animal Kingdom. And it was actually kind of funny. So Kay I was under the impression, oh, I don't need my whatever you call that thing that goes around your waist or whatever. So she actually left in the car, or purposely, but she actually left her ticket in there. Get that. So she ended up going back to the van, and she took over 30 minutes just to find the stupid thing. And then she's like, I ain't walking all the way back. So she decides to wait for the tram. Tram finally comes, picks her up, and I mean, if it wasn't for the fact that I was so sore and tired, I would have gone in her place. And I'm not, going to go, with her just to suffer for her actions. But, the problem with worldly people are they feel like they shouldn't have to suffer. Somebody should suffer for them. What else is new? But I only have to deal with them so often. So I'm just like, I'll just deal with them, for a week, and then they can deal with themselves while I'm gone. And after we finally got in the park, TJ and I were like insisted upon going on Dinosaur, because who knows how much longer it's going to be around for. And Kate was like, oh, I would rather go on Everest. And all the same, it's like, hey, you can go on Everest anytime you want. I can't come down here and go ride on Dinosaur anytime I want. For all I know, when I come back, Dinosaur might be gone. So this was like my one and only chance. So, ended up working out. And then we had to hightail it over to Pandora, World of Avatar. Not even lying, 20-minute light wait just for a flight passage, and didn't even feel like a 20-minute wait. I'm not going to say like how we got in, but let's just say that TJ has his ways of going about skipping lines with Disney without necessarily paying for it, and it's because TJ has anxiety, so he claims. But what am I? Who am I to judge? All I know is I'm not going to question TJ's disabilities. I know he has disabilities. If he says he has anxiety and he does need this special assistance program, then I'm not going to argue with him. So we did manage to get on Flight of Passage, and then when we got done, it was a little after 6. The park was closed, so we were like, oh, well, let's just go over to Red Robin. So we got over there, and I'm happy. I had a really good day. I got a lot done, and it was pretty quiet. It was a beautiful day, and then TJ really surprised me. He says, order whatever you want, David. It's on me. And I was like, really? So I'm looking at the menu, and I finally came upon a blue cheeseburger, which I also got again on Sunday, but we'll get there. So TJ got I'm trying to remember the specific name of the appetizer, but it is something I always get whenever I go to Mzara's. And it is one of my favorites. If I remember the name, I'll mention it. But that was our appetizer, whatever it was called again. Then I got the blue cheese ribbon burger, and then a house salad. But at this point of the trip, my appetite is still small because I've been working out so much at Perfect North. It's not even funny, and I just walked around all day, so my stomach was relatively small, and I was surprisingly stuffed afterwards. And I was so full, I agreed with TJ, let's not do the Shamrock Shake, because that was the original plan. Let's go get the Shamrock Shake tonight. And we decided against it. So the next day, me, TJ, and his roommate Robert went to Universal. Basically almost the same thing as Wednesday, except we had to run more errands, so this time we had to stop at Publix and go get my sub. We had to stop at Wawa, and this time I was so hungry, not even lying, that I stopped and I got myself a Wawa hoagie, because I want to make sure I was nice and full. And then I still turned around a few hours later and I had half a Publix sub. Like, I was just really hungry on Thursday, and I don't know why. And then I had to go to the bank, I had to go pay rent. And go get some checks. Thursday was just a very busy day. We finally got to Universal a little after 11. So we started out over at Islands of Adventure. We hit up the Incredible Hulk right off the bat. This was after we had a little bit of an issue with the Universal team members. They were so rude to TJ, and then they turned around and they said that he was the one being rude. I personally don't want to come back to Universal because of that. But I spoke to my fiance, to Katie specifically. She still wants to go there for our honeymoon. I'm like, okay. I'm not going to argue with her and say, oh, I'm the man, I'm in charge. I say we don't go. So, she doesn't get to go as often as we do. And she made a good point. We may not have any room employees when we go. We don't know. So I said, okay, you got a point there. So I told her I would be willing to do it. And anyway, so as far as back last Thursday is concerned, after me and Robert did the Hulk, then the three of us all went and rode Dr. Doom's, which I thought was hilarious. Robert had no idea what the Dr. Doom's Fearfall was like, and when I first did that launch, I legitimately thought I felt my safety restraint coming off. Like, I was ready to go, woo! And I was like, ah! That kind of thing. But I checked it, and while I was still on the ride, and I was good to go, I was like, okay, it wasn't as bad as I thought. But yeah, I was feeling a little sick afterwards. I was like, whew, man, I haven't been on one of those in a long time. I'm not used to it like I used to be. So sorry. Anyway, so we went over and we did Kong, which of course they removed the 3D glasses, true enough, and was all in 2D. It actually wasn't a bad experience doing it in 2D. It really wasn't. Excuse me 1 minute. Sorry about that. So anyway, after we got done with Kong, I went and showed Katie all of Jurassic Park in full detail. I really took my time, and then we went and rode Velocicoaster together, which I really enjoyed. That was nice to do that again. We were going to go do Hagrid's. We ended up standing in one spot for 15 minutes, and I had to use the restroom, and I'm like, I don't got the patience for this. So I gave up, and I'm like, nope, I'm done. And more or less, sorry. we ended up going over to Universal Studios Florida, so we walked over there, and of course you guys already know what happened over there, and then you already know what we did afterwards, which was Raising Cane's. We didn't really do much on Thursday evening other than move some more stuff into TJ's shed, so not really much to talk about there. Friday, the only thing I did not personally show was TJ and I went and rode Tron again, which I was honestly worried that TJ had overslept. And he surprised me. He's like, okay, I guess Group 25. And I was like, oh, okay. So we got there and we made it. We surprisingly were allowed on, even though we were over an hour late, because it was a really quiet day that day. And then I was like insistent, oh, let's go do Space Mountain, even though we should have been leaving. And finally started heading over to meet Vanita at CC's. So we met with Vanita at CC's over by Sherbrooke Road and 192. And I ended up spending over an hour with her. It was kind of nice, and we just talked. And then we went back, and you guys saw what happened from there. And then, as you know, we went straight from there to Boma, and you already know what happened with that. I ended up, of course, riding back with TJ from there. Well, actually, I drove TJ and I almost all the way back home, and then TJ did the rest of the driving from there. So, yeah, I mean, you kind of got the idea of Friday. So Saturday, the only thing I did not film other than the Strawberry Festival, which you guys already know about that. So now we're on Saturday, March 2nd. Got to sleep in a little bit that morning. I slept until 10. And that day particularly, I really wanted to eat at one of my favorite places since I was in high school, called Frostbite Ice Cream and More. It's in Frostproof. So we made the trip over there, and I was very impressed. They had this giant awning, much bigger outdoor seating area, and otherwise everything was the same. Food was excellent. The service was excellent. Prices were still a little high, but not by much. I mean, they were about the same as they were 2 years ago. About the same. And then we were going to go to the Urbandale Flea Market. It didn't work out. So the only thing you guys missed was we went and picked up Kay. Then we went to the Publix and we went and bought our tickets. And we went from there to Strawberry Festival and dealt with the insanity of trying to park the car. And you guys saw kind of what happened from there. After the Strawberry Festival, of course, walked back to the car. I drove us as far as Winter Haven Wawa, and then TJ drove us from there to Save-A-Lot and then back to his place. And it literally started pouring as soon as we got there. I helped Kay and Vanita get inside the house, and we had a little birthday party. It was kind of nice. TJ made pasta. I really enjoyed that. We didn't have the cake yet, but we did go back and get it the next day. So the only thing I did not show on Sunday March 3rd now, was obviously didn't show anything that what happened before lunch, because TJ didn't get out of bed until 10. I was doing church, and then obviously there's nothing to show before that because we had to go drive over to Winter Haven, go pick up Kay, and then get to the place. So there really wasn't anything that happened until we pulled into the parking lot. And then we went from there to Urbandale Flea Market. And once again, there wasn't much that went on. Sunday was kind of a chill day for us, because we went over to BJ's and we went and picked up TJ's cake. And we met up with some of Kay's friends at Manny's in Lake Wales. Otherwise, I would have loved to show that. That's why I didn't show it this time, because I'm not going to show people who don't want to be filmed and I barely know on YouTube. As it was, I was so full from lunch, which you have to go back and check out that vlog if you want to know how big my meal was, that I didn't really want anything. So I ended up eating my leftovers for breakfast the next day, as disgusting as that is. So the only thing I did not show on Monday which was my last full day in Central Florida. Obviously, I didn't show TJ and I making a couple of errands, or running a couple of errands, like TJ going to pay the bills, me eating my mayonnaise for breakfast, or having coffee. Of course, I forgot to mention Sunday night that TJ and I went and had some fun, and that made me go to bed early. Um, then, of course, Monday morning we had to drive all the way out to SeaWorld. So by the time I started my and then of course the reason why I didn't start the vlog right away like I normally would, like I mentioned, I had just dealt with the car situation, so it took me a long time, but I finally did get it going. Of course, TJ is in a bad mood by this point because he knows his best friend's leaving the next day, so that's why his face looks so miserable, and that's just something he needs to learn to get over. Is I can't always be there for him. So that finally brings me to Tuesday, March 5th, because, Tuesday, March 5th, because honestly, after SeaWorld, all that happened was TJ and I went back to Winter Haven. I dropped him off at Cypress Lands. I went and had dinner with Vanita, and then I went to her place, and that was really it, other than coming back to pick up TJ, and then we went back to his place, and I helped him do the dishes. So Tuesday, March 5th, obviously didn't really miss much before Disney Springs because TJ and I went and had some breakfast together at Denny's, and we just spent a little bit of time together, just the two of us, no YouTubing, and then we went and did property control. I can't film there, so the only thing I really could film was was Disney Springs, and there was no reason for me to film Orlando International Airport. I've already shown it gazillions of times, so I decided to use that time to charge my phone and just relax and upload my YouTube video. And by the time I got over to Baltimore, I actually had something to film for a change, because I had never seen the airport before. And as you guys know, I went to my gate after it was time, and you guys saw what happened from there. I filmed me taking off and landing, and the time in between that I was texting my brother and texting Katie, and that was really about it. So there really wasn't much I did not show. So that was pretty much my trip in a nutshell. As far as costs are concerned, I'm going to go through this really quickly with you, guys. So Tuesday I spent $20 on Texas Roadhouse. Wednesday I didn't spend anything. That was money that I borrowed from TJ. Thursday was a little bit on the pricier side, so Thursday I went and bought breakfast at Wawa. That was a little less than $10. Then I went to Publix, and as you guys know, and that cost me a little less than $10. And I've decided to pay for parking. That was approximately $30. Then I paid for the Universal Cup to get activated. That was approximately $13. Then TJ and I split the cost on Raising Cane's, and that was roughly $9. And then Friday, I paid for coffee for myself and TJ, so that was about $5. And then, of course, I had already had. Sorry, that was another time, but I don't remember what I did for food. I don't think I had breakfast at Wawa necessarily that morning, but I don't remember. If I did, it would have came to about $8, so it doesn't really matter. I don't think I did because I was trying to save my appetite. So I went to CC's. I covered that. That came to about $20. And then I didn't pay for dinner because one person had to pay for everybody. So that's just more money I owe. Let's see here. Saturday, I did pay for lunch for both TJ and I. Well, kind of. I paid for my own lunch and the appetizer and my dessert. So, and the tip. So that came to a little over $30. I paid for both Strawberry Festival. Um, I paid for my Strawberry Festival ticket, and that was $10. And then I paid for both strawberry shortcakes, and that came to $10 as well. But I made sure TJ paid for his own Strawberry Festival ticket. So, I mean, overall, I stayed pretty cheap, but I'm going to keep on going. Sunday, I have one person to pay for everybody's meal, so it's more money I owe again. And then I did pay for the cake, so that came to about $17 because TJ used some of his. I'm not going to say it out loud, but TJ used some kind of assistance money to help pay for the cake, and that's as much as I'm going to say. And only a couple of bucks of that, and I paid the rest. And dinner I covered, and that came to about $30 again because I covered the tip once again. So I paid for TJ and then I covered the tip as well. And I don't remember if TJ got a drink or not, but I know I just got water. Monday I covered, or I paid for coffee again, and then I paid for our SeaWorld Cup activation. So I was about $10 altogether for just those two things, $5, five and five. So that's how I got 10. And then I was really all I spent that day, other than gas that night, which was $14. And I did cover gas here and there on the odd occasion, and that was just one of the times. And then Tuesday I did buy my own breakfast, so that came to about $13 after tip. And then I bought Katie one of those thermal detonators at Property Control for $2.12. And then finally I went to Starbucks, and that cost me almost $7. So there you go. That is how much I spent. I do owe TJ a few $100s because let's just put it this way: eating at expenses, gas, because he did drive me around quite a bit. Birthday present for himself. Does that even count? And then I also owe him because he's going to be mailing up some stuff for both Katie and I whenever I get the money in. And then trying to think here. Also, it's really about it, I guess, now that I think about it. So I really hope you guys enjoyed my vlog, and as always, I will see you guys in the next vlog. And always remember, you can do all things through Christ who strengthens you. Have a great night. Peace out.